Hi there, and welcome to the Love Your Life Hour with me, Genie Lee Perron. I'm so happy that you could join us here today. Get ready to open your heart and mind and give yourself a big old hug as together we learn how to love ourselves more and to truly love our life. It's time to start enjoying the journey of your life. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Love Your Life show, number 43, with me, Genie Lee Perron, and my lovely co-host, as always, Debbie Filippi. And today, I am so excited because we have a very special guest. The one and only amazing Summer McStravick is joining us today. For those of you who don't know, Summer is the creator of Flow Dreaming, which is an incredibly powerful manifesting tool. She's also created Me School, which is a year-long empowering self-growth program. I ran into Summer when she was with HayHouseRadio.com. She was instrumental in building that radio station from the ground up. She produced many of the online programs, CDs, and seminars for Abraham Hicks, Dr. Christiane Northrup, Wayne Dyer. I used to listen religiously to Summer's own show on Hay House Radio, Flow Dreaming, and the show that she co-hosted with Wayne Dyer. It was like a staple of my listening environment back then. And so we're going to talk to Summer about a period in her life when she was diagnosed with invasive breast cancer. She was just 43. And so fortunately, with a scary diagnosis, Summer had the tools to be able to take care of. We talk a lot about the energetic side and the physical side of things. Summer used that energetic side, the flow dreaming, to help get her back into balance, and then took action on the physical side to find the right medical care for her. And so we're going to talk with Summer. This is personal for me as well. As many of our listeners know, I was diagnosed with leukemia in 2000. And just 4 months later, my mom died, and then my dad died, and then my marriage died. And it was right around that time, early in probably 2003 or 4-ish, that I found Summer and the Hay House gang. I was led to them by Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. And I worked through all the exercises in that. And the idea of just changing your thinking and changing your life really resonated with me. And that's what led me to Hay House and Summer's show with Wayne Dyer. And Flow Dreaming was really instrumental in changing my life and assisting me with my healing. I used Flow Dreams on my own back then when CDs were a thing, before MP3 downloads became so popular. I think I had every CD that was available at the time. And I eventually went on to having private sessions with Summer. And she helped me not just with my health, but with relationships, with so many things. It got me to really going past just changing my thoughts and thinking about visualizing what's that emotional endpoint that I'm looking for? What do I want to feel? And flow dreaming is so powerful in that realm. I'm still here 19 years later. And I'm proud to say that I've worked with Summer as a student and with her as my mentor and coach. And I've also had the honor of being one of her coaches in her Me School program, which is a phenomenal program. So it is such an honor to have Summer McStravick with us here today as our special guest. So please stay tuned. We're going to be bringing Summer on and Debbie on in just a few minutes. And I know you are going to hear some words of wisdom today. I have really no announcements because I want to get to summer as quick as I can. I will just say, join our Facebook group, Love Your Life, Reconnect to You. You can do a search on Facebook and find us there, and we would love to talk with you there. It's a great place to catch up on the positivity power plays from prior weeks, and it's a great place to ask any questions that you might have. So, positivity power play. I'm talking really fast because I want to get our special guest on. But last week we talked about reframing the way you express your emotions. Instead of saying I am happy or I am angry, saying I feel happy or I feel angry or whatever emotion you happen to be expressing. So this week we want to continue to bring more awareness to your emotions. Awareness is your power. So this week, take your journal. Spend a little bit of time each night this week journaling about 3 major emotions that you're carrying right now. You know, sometimes we just feel emotions and we don't take the time to just sort of notice them. So note when you feel them. Notice how you express them, where you feel them in your body. And then with no judgment, just taking note, do this for the week and share your experience. We'll talk more about this as we continue on this with our shows about social emotional intelligence. All right. So just to get a little bit calm and centered so I can stop talking so fast, let's do a little deep breathing and some positive affirmations, and then we will get to our special guest. So if we could have some nice soft music, that would be fabulous. And take a moment now to just get comfortable. If you're sitting in your chair, just plant your feet on the ground, uncross your arms and legs. Let the energy flow through your body. If you can close your eyes, take this moment to just give yourself the gift of going inward, closing your eyes. And now bring your attention to your breath. And take a nice deep breath in. And let it out. And another nice deep breath in. And let it out. Continuing to notice your breath as it gently flows in and flows out. Allow your head to relax, your scalp, your face. Allow your neck to relax and your shoulders. And breathing with each breath, relaxing even more. Allowing that relaxation to travel down through your arms, into your hands, and all the way down into your fingers. Take a nice deep breath and allow your abdomen to relax as you exhale. Let yourself sink into your seat, relaxing your hips and your legs all the way down to your feet. And take another nice deep breath in and exhale, relaxing more and more. Feel your breath connecting you to the earth and to the sky, and allowing a beautiful circle of energy to just flow within you and around you. You're a beautiful, clear channel to the energy of life. And continue to breathe at your own pace. And let's affirm together, I love my life. and life loves me. Each day I pause for a moment and breathe. My breath connects me to the powerful stream of well-being. This stream connects us all, and I allow this loving energy to flow through me. I know that my body is always communicating with me. I listen to my body with love. I give my body the tools that it needs to thrive. I move my body in ways that I enjoy. I feed my body nourishing foods and beverages. I relax in appreciation of my amazing body. My body is my vehicle to explore this amazing world. I love my body. I breathe and listen to my body's gentle guidance. All is well. I am guided and protected. I love my life, and life loves me. And so it is. And take a nice deep breath in. And let it out. Release any remaining tension you might be holding in your body. You can roll your shoulders, wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, take another nice deep breath and you can open your eyes. All right. Excellent. Well, let's get right to our topic today, which is thriving after cancer, and our special guest, Summer McStravick. Summer and Debbie, are you there?
I am. Welcome, Summer. Hello to all our listeners. Hello.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, Genie. It's Summer.
Hi, Summer. I'm so excited to have you here. I'm doing a little fangirling a little bit. Just a little bit. Oh my goodness. So Summer, I don't even know where to start, but I don't know, maybe we start with pre-diagnosis, all the work that you did with flow dreaming, and it's a remarkable program, and you have so many flow dreams recorded for people. It's a fabulous tool. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that to start?
Oh boy, you're just going to dive right into Pandora's box.
Right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'll describe, I'm sitting here in my beautiful home office surrounded by flowers from my garden that I picked yesterday before it started raining. Mm. And it's a very moody, rainy morning out in May. And I was joking with you before we got on to record together that, oh boy, cancer, first thing I want to talk about in the morning.
Right.
But I'm describing this for you because, this all kind of came in place because of the practice that I do, the way that I've taught myself to think. It's not like it's something I could pick up somewhere else or learn someplace else. Mm-hmm. It was something that I had to really teach myself through practice over and over again. If I think this way and if I teach myself to feel the ways that I want to feel, then all the different things that come in my life are more, I don't know, maybe I can understand them more and I can embrace them more and I can roll through them more instead of letting these things like any particular diagnosis, catch you up and flip you over and tumble you like a leaf in the wind. I guess flow dreaming, it's a practice that came to me, many, many years ago, maybe 1999, 2000, right around that era, which seems forever long now, forever long ago. And I started using it because, one, I was looking for a way to really communicate with my life, to set my intention out. I was in my 20s and I was really, gung ho. You remember that age, right? Everything, the world is your oyster and you're going to conquer it all. And my thought was, how do I conquer it? I'm doing all the things I know how to do, with my physical self. I went to college and got, made a job for myself. I did all kinds of stuff. But I really felt like something was lacking. Like, where am I going in my life? And what's all this going to turn into? And isn't there some other way that I can give this some sight? And flow dreaming came in because I found that I was completely inept at meditation. I just could not do it. My mind was so busy and so wandering all the time. I played with affirmations and, back in the day it was about creative visualization was the thing. Self-hypnosis was a thing. How life, we kind of rotate through all of these different modalities as the eras move on. But none of them really were getting in for me until the day I went and started to do something that kind of felt like a creative visualization. I was doing it with my mom. We were helping each other like friends on the phone. You call each other to support, accountability buddies. And we were doing this with each other. And we just began to describe a new sensation. It was very emotional. It was visual. We were feeling this flow of the universe itself, what it was like to just relax into something a lot bigger than us, a lot wiser, more intelligent, cocooning, where we could sort of spread out and just be who we were and imagine who that being would be or become in every way in our lives. So it started with this little kind of magical week that we started experiencing a feeling state that we hadn't ever really encountered before. And from there, I took it and rolled with it. I just went with it, began doing this practice all the time, all throughout my day. And over the years, it just kept turning into something more and bigger and deeper. And I became more aware of what it was and how it was similar to and different from other practices. And all the way up through till really 2015. And that was my cancer diagnosis. And my practice led me to work at Hay House for a decade. And like you mentioned, put together Hay House Radio. And Wayne Dyer and I had a good rolling show together for about 5 years, which was pretty cool.
I loved it.
Yeah. Of course, working for Louise and getting to just learn how to make things for all kinds of different thought leaders was just a stellar experience. And looking back, I knew it was all setting me up for something, which was eventually to put together a way that I could share flow dreaming with the world and really to have the inner sense of confidence and mastery to know that this was important and I should be out there, leading and speaking and sharing this as well, that I had something of value. So we'll just tie it all back into 2015. And, I had been practicing what is now I see as a technique that has 3 parts to it. There's a sense of flow and positive psychology and, sort of the father of flow, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, really pioneered that in the psychological space. But we look at flow now as a state of being that you easily enter multiple times in a day. And you enter it through the process of daydreaming, which is another natural phenomenon you're born with. You don't have to be taught how to do it. Our body already naturally knows. And I think a lot of the most powerful modalities in the world are things that we already are born with the ability to do.
Right.
We just have to learn what to use them for. Right? I mean, you kind of teach a child to walk, but that child's probably going to learn how to walk on its own.
Right.
Even if you're not helping. So, to get really good at it, well, you take that child and teach them how to become a marathoner or a sprinter. So I'm taking the use of daydreaming and flow to natural states of being and saying, well, you already do these. They're kind of operating in the background all day in your life. What if you consciously use them? What if you put focus into them? What if you communicated and spoke to the universe through these processes? And that's where we add the third component in, which is emotion. So you take flow, emotion, and guided daydreaming, this really potent mix, and you do a kind of guided daydream into the flow state where you begin becoming and really feeling who and what you are. So that's what I ended up with, holding in my hands and having a long practice of it when I was diagnosed.
Yeah.
And do you want to step in? I mean, I don't know how you felt when you were diagnosed, but
Yeah.
I'll share. But why don't you share first? Because I've been talking a while.
I want to say too that flow dreaming for me was what tied together everything that I had been learning. My mom, I was very fortunate because I did have a foundation of, my mother used to say things like, be careful what you put in your mind. Your thoughts are powerful, and, spend some time focusing on what you do want instead of complaining about what you don't want. Put the energy where you do want it. So I kind of had that foundation growing up. And so when I found Louise, her words really resonated. They really made sense to me. You can change the way you're thinking, and you can be, deliberate about the way you're thinking. And then flow dreaming for me is what made it click because of that emotional component. Flow dreaming for me was the first time anybody said, well, how do you want to feel? Like, why is it that you want what you want? And what is the feeling that you want to put in there? And realizing that I had more control over that than I was giving myself credit for.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So when I was diagnosed in 2000, I was alone and scared. My best friend had died, my mom. And then my dad, followed shortly thereafter. And then, eventually my marriage crumbled. So it was scary, and I was alone, and I reached out to all of you wonderful people that, didn't know me from a hole in the ground, but you saved my life because I used your tools, and I used them religiously, and I saw a difference. Yeah. So when I was diagnosed, I remember the doctor telling me, you have 3 to 5, go home and enjoy your kids for as long as you can. Oh. And I just looked at him and I said, well, I don't know how, but you better get used to seeing this face because it's going to be here for a while. And yes. I was just, I don't know where that even came from, but it was this knowing that I didn't have to believe what the doctor said. And if I did believe it, I'd be gone. 100%. So that was my foundation. That's what, what happened there. I was scared. I went through a period of fear. And then I remember taking a shower one day, and all of a sudden popped into my mind. I had been a religious meditator since the 80s. So flow dreaming was a nice addition to that. And I remember being in the shower, and it just popped into my mind that I'm no different than anybody else. I just have a big, scary word. And then I said, nobody else knows how long they have either. So what am I going to do? Live like I'm dying, or am I going to live like I'm living? And that was just a turning point for me. And then everything else just built on it. So it was like there were periods of fear. And I mean, even now I dip into fear now and then. I just don't stay there very long.
Yes, that's the key. And that's the key. So the thing with the diagnosis, and the thing with all of us really, is we're always thinking of our emotions as things that happen to us. They're reactions. I mean, we're trained, react emotionally appropriately to whatever is going on, because if you don't, there's something wrong with you. Right. We call those people sociopaths. So we're taught, hey, if something terrible happens, you have to cry, you have to grieve. If something wonderful happens, you have to be happy. And that's all right and good. But we're never taught that you can have a feeling independent of the things that are going on around you to trigger the feeling. Which means we're always in a kind of powerless position over our emotions. Exactly. Emotions happen to us. We don't happen to them. And I realized in flow dreaming, wow, I'm actually turning that entire equation backwards. What I'm saying is, I'm going to feel these emotions. Life is giving me no reason to feel them. So what if I feel the feeling first, and then life can step in and figure out, what can we do to match this so she gets the feeling, she gets the reason for the feeling that she's having first. That's a really key distinction.
It really is. And it's a key. It is just like, it is the thing. That's the magic sauce right there.
Yes. Yeah. And so when you end up with this diagnosis, what ends up happening is it's like getting hit full force in the stomach with a... now you're going to go through, all the scary things that you've ever built up in your head about cancer. And you'll discover there's a lot more scary things in there than probably positive things. Probably in your life, you read about cancer deaths, you read about people losing people they love, you read about chemo, you read about, cancer comes across as this virtual death sentence.
Yes.
So you're instantly being triggered with fear, death, dying, losing your children, losing your life. Fear, death, dying, horrible. And it hits you like a ton of bricks.
Right. And there's nowhere to run. That was the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I just had this urge to run, and I'm like, everywhere I go, there I am, I can't run from this.
So what I learned, and I've been teaching myself ever since, because honestly, the journey healing through cancer is just as bigger than the diagnosis. But as one thing I started to realize is, hey, I can take what these feelings want to give me and feel them. And I actually did. I let them roll through me, purge through me. And I don't really joke about it. I mean, I say it with a kind of like, this is what happened. Like, this is really what happened. I spent like 2 days just crying about everything. I grieved and I grieved and I grieved. And I grieved like I was really going to lose my family. I had one kid she had just started 7th grade, or she was going to start 7th grade, which was like the toughest year for a girl ever. My son was still in 4th grade. And I thought, gosh, what if I lose them? Why is this happening to me? This is wrong. This is unfair. Hey, I've been a vegetarian for 24 years. I've been doing my exercise and CrossFit twice a week. Wrong. No. But I let all the emotions come in. I let them overwhelm me, and I reacted to them.
Yep.
And then I realized, hey, if you want to get through this in the long haul, you've got to do better than that. Yep. You've got to start owning up and saying, hey, this is how I actually want to feel around this. This is who I'm going to be inside of this experience. So instead of letting cancer happen to me and just being like buffeted around by the doctor's appointments and the chemo and losing the hair, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to be something inside this experience. And who is that woman?
Right.
And I thought, she's going to feel happy. She's going to feel confident. She's going to feel at ease. She's not going to be stressed out. The last thing I want to add into this experience in my life are feelings like that. Right. It's the last thing my body needs. It's the last thing my mind needs. So why would I offer that to myself?
Exactly.
And that's what started me on this journey of, okay, I'm in power. I have confidence. We're figuring this out. There's no more stress. I make whatever changes are necessary in my life. We're going to move through this.
Right.
And that set the tone for like the next, 3 years for me.
Yeah. I think that's important to note that, you have that choice there on how you're going to react. But I think it's really important to go through the stages of grief with something like this.
Oh, yeah.
Because, we all have plans for our life, and we have, like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to grow old, and I'm going to, and then all of a sudden you've got this kick in the stomach, and it's totally important to go through the grieving of that, of what your old normal was.
Yeah. And
let yourself feel it. I think that with the law of attraction, a lot of people mistakenly think they have to only be positive. And that's ridiculous, because we're human. Oh, it's just the key is not to linger in those, if you're feeling angry, feel it, but don't stay in it. Don't fester in it,
Yeah.
Like my mother used to say, if you're going to have a pity party, don't party all weekend. Just
I love your mom.
She was amazing. You would have loved her. She was amazing. Yeah. But she, that kind of thing. But I think it's really bring up a really good point that the fear is there, and the grief is there, and the sadness and all of that is there. And you've got to acknowledge it and feel it, because you've got to feel it to heal it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I see in hindsight. Well, actually, I saw it then. What happened for me is the grief got unbottled. And I realized I was grieving not just for the diagnosis, but I was grieving for every damn thing that had happened to me in my entire life. Yeah. Everything that I thought I had processed and thought I had gone through, my mom's multiple divorces and moving and losing friends and being scared and, being emotionally abused, being physically, it was just everything came up. And I realized, wow, my heart is continuing to hold a lot of grief and a lot of sadness. And like all those times before when I felt sideswiped and blindsided and unable to protect myself, it's happening again. Now I'm unable to protect myself from this lump in my breast. It all just whooshed back. And I realized, whoa, with the big whooshing comes a good cleansing if I let it. And so that's why I just said, I'm going to dump everything. And I'll tell you an energetic thing, an emotional thing that happened as a result of it is my heart actually became lighter, and freer and unburdened. And I had this glowing, almost, that lifted sense of lightness. You hear about saints and angels walking around and, they're 2 inches off the floor.
Yes.
And I felt like that. Like, is anyone looking? Because I think I'm floating.
I can totally relate. When I was newly diagnosed, I was determined that I needed to raise my kids. My kids were 3 and 5. Mm-hmm. And, so I was meditating. I would put them to bed and I would chant and I would, anything to just raise my vibe and just kind of, get in. And I remember sitting meditating one night and I literally saw a white light came right at me, whacked me in my forehead, popped my eyes open and said, and I heard, you are healed. And I went, what the bloody heck was that? and I actually jumped up. I turned on the light. I looked around. I'm like, okay, that was weird. But from that moment on, I had this trust that there was something, bigger. I remember telling my therapist at the time that if I survive this, I got to do something to help people. I've got to figure out this has to have meaning, And
I think that's a real positive, bright side. Big things can knock you into bigger awarenesses. It's like the size of the truck that hits you moves you into the size of the new awareness.
Right.
So that's, the silver lining, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Now, Debbie is a breast cancer survivor as well. So,
Debbie, come in here. Tell us. I'm being so polite.
She is. She's a Southern girl. She's all polite. Us New Englanders, we just talk right over you.
All right. Well, us 3 cancer ladies. No. Come on. So what happened for you?
Well, I just, relating to what both of you are saying, my daughter was going into the 5th grade and my son was going into the 6th. Mm-hmm. And I remember, all of the feelings, and the same. It was my attitude. It was okay. And feeling all of the grief, feeling all of the things, but at the same time, for me, having the conversations with my doctors and me knowing just in my head, in my heart, the decisions I was making. And I disagreed with the doctors and told them what I wanted to do. And they thought it was a little overkill. And, it wasn't the first time I disagreed with doctors. And I said, no,
for all of us here.
And I can remember after the first procedure, hearing a voice. It said they didn't get it all. And I think for me, the waiting, I think you can both relate to this, the waiting was the hardest part.
Yeah.
Just that unknown. And at the same time, knowing I'm going to be okay. Mm-hmm. But when I went back for the results, I was sitting there and I can still remember the nurse patting my hand and I'm thinking, okay, I'm not sure.
Oh no, the hand pat's the clue.
I'm like, okay.
Okay.
The doctor coming in and looking at me and saying, we didn't get it all. And I said, yeah, I know. And he goes, what? And I said, yeah I know. You told me. And he looked at me and he goes, I didn't know until 5 minutes ago walking down the hall when I read the report.
Wow.
And I said, okay, well, someone told me while I was in recovery, 10 days ago. So it's, again, just that intuition, the knowing, when I told them I felt a lump, if it wasn't for my primary doctor at the time I had been with him probably 15 years and the radiologist and everyone kept saying, we're not seeing anything. And he kept saying, dig deeper. If she tells you it's there, it's there. Mm-hmm. And then finally, the second procedure, my doctor came back and he said, I have one request before I give you the results. And I said, okay. And he said, you don't say I told you so. And I kind of looked at him, and he said, never in all my years have I ever said to a patient, I told you so, when I was right. And he said, you were right. He said, we would have gone back in and gotten clear margin, but the cancer was like a buckshot. And so it was, again, just that feeling of knowing what I wanted.
Yeah. Debbie, how many years are you clear now?
It was 17.
Fantastic. I love
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you. Because even though I know how much a trigger it is, like for anybody who might be listening, to hear that it's not there or it might come back like that, I can feel myself being triggered by it as you speak. And I think that's one of the big reasons why people don't want to listen to shows that talk about cancer, because they feel, that the trigger will come up. So knowing that you're 17 years clear, knowing that you've, encountered like a multiple surgery situation is like number one for me. Like, oh, so even though she did all that, she's still good.
It was, and every day since, do I have good days and bad days? Of course I do. But again, it's my choice. I get to choose. Yeah. And, Summer, I love what you said about the emotions. Yeah. You get to decide. Mm-hmm. And really I just, really resonating, generating feelings, listening to the two of you talk. Yeah. And, even as a parent, that was a turning point for me as a parent, because I looked at both of my children and it was like, okay, what skills will you need if I'm not here, and who will teach you? And just that was, again, a real shifting point. Seeing how capable our children really were, how resilient, how optimistic.
That reminds me, I've had a lot of people in my family actually have cancer or pass from cancer. My aunt passed from thyroid cancer that became lung cancer. My grandmother passed from lung cancer. Both of them lifelong non-smokers. A man sort of like my grandfather, to my kids, my mom's partner. How do you describe these new kinds of relationships? He passed from throat cancer. My aunt has had breast cancer twice. My great aunt passed from breast cancer. I could just go on, right? So in my family, it's like 50-50. And one of the things I started to notice is I felt like there were moments when I would be with my family, and it was almost like there was a feeling deep in me that would say, he's given up, or she's given up. And I just knew, I'm like, you know what? Nothing they go through is going to fix this. They've given up. And it's like, I can't put my finger on it. I can't define it. But the ones who've given up, I can feel they've given up. Yes. And the ones who haven't, I can feel are still fighting, or will get through it.
Yes.
And it's a weird thing. I would never tell someone you've given up, because I don't want to reinforce, in case they themselves don't know it yet. Sometimes it's so deep, that fear is so deep.
Right.
But I don't know, have you guys ever noticed that?
Yeah, it's very refreshing to hear you say that.
I think it's a dirty little cancer secret,
I agree, because it's, I'm feeling, even to hear you say, you heard the words. I'm like, okay, good. That's not just me.
Yeah.
Hearing, and Genie hearing those words. And
well, that's what makes me laugh about mental health professionals is, they'll say, well, do you hear voices? And it's like, I
do. Don't get me started on that. I maintain just fine with the whole cackling crowd of them. No.
It's like, I do. But I hear them, for me anyway, I don't necessarily, I guess I don't distinguish them as voices most times, unless there have been 3 distinct times in my life where I've heard a voice that was clearly it wasn't coming from me. It didn't seem.
Right.
And they were really significant.
Sorry.
They were really significant times. It was like, whoa. But you talked about the waiting. And I just want to touch on that, because I think that it applies not just to cancer, but like anything that that you're waiting for answers on or whatever. And it's like shifting that. You talk about pre-acting instead of reacting. And so shifting the feeling, and the thing that happened with me with doctor visits, for the longest time, I would dread them. There was like this cloud, like, oh God, what are they going to find? They're going to do that.
I know.
I used to have to have a bone marrow biopsy. I used to have every month because of the diagnostics they needed to do. And now luckily it's just blood work. But, I remember when I finally decided, it finally sunk in, pre-act, I'm going in there with the attitude that these doctors are just going to tell me what a miracle I am. That's all. They're just checking my blood so they can say, wow, you're miraculous. And you know what's funny is they go, wow, this is miraculous. So it's, just shifting that, like, instead of dread, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm just going to the doctor because it's a pain in the neck. It's like, I got to drive all the way into Boston and it's pain. But I'm like, okay, well, they're just going to tell me how amazing I am. It's awesome. So, shifting that.
100%. And I think the waiting takes so many different forms. Like just this week, actually, I was talking with 2 students who are both having biopsies, same week. And, we were talking about the waiting between, getting the test scheduled, waiting for the results. And then, there's another form of waiting that happens after you've gone through treatment, if you end up, having cancer. The waiting of, will it come back? Yes. So there are all these different forms of waiting. But the mind stuff that you go through in each case is exactly the same. Yeah. And the mind stuff is, I can go into lack and I can start freaking out. And I call it lack thinking, in my flow dreaming universe. And in lack thinking, you go straight away into, it's going to be there. They're going to find something. Oh my God, what am I going to do? How will I arrange things? And it's like you start preparing for a drama that you don't yet know if even will come. But all of the energy is now focused on the preparation and the spinning around and the fear and the worry. And what ends up happening is you're giving your life all of these signals suddenly, like, I've got it, it's here, what are we going to do? I'm getting ready, I'm worried, I'm freaking out. And you're dumping, it's like you're dumping this emotional gush of fear and worry and lack into your life, into your energy, into your future. And, I'm a believer that your future is reading every little clue from you. It's saying, who is she or he? What are they feeling or thinking? What do they expect? Because we're going to do our best to serve that up.
Exactly. So, whatever you think you're going to make true for you.
Yeah. So my job before a test, or my job waiting for results, is I feel the fear come up. Oh gosh, here I go. I'm, the MRI's coming, and then and then I go, hey, MRI, you don't know the results yet. Why waste a second of your time thinking about that? Because whenever you get the result, if it's not what you like, make your plans then. You're not going to get any ahead of the game by doing it now. Right? You'll have all the opportunity in the world then. So stay with the present. Stay with the unknown, even if it's unknown. Stay with that. Right. That's better than pre-planning or pre-paving or going into lack feeling about the horrible result.
Right.
And the same is true post-cancer. And that's been like one of the biggest things for me personally, because for me, the first year post-cancer is, are they going to find it again? What if I go in and it's bad? How many years do I need before I'm clear? And so, there's that lurking, it kind of goes underground, that fear. Yes. And I notice that I still make decisions based on that fear.
Yeah. Okay.
And I've had to teach myself, are you going to decide to live for 50 years? Or are you deciding to live for 5 years? Right. Why are you making that decision? Where's that coming from?
Right.
And then I'll realize there's a lack thought. And that lack thought is, it's going to come back. The doctors never tell you you're cancer-free forever. And I want them to say that to me.
And that's the thing. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantees in life for any of us.
But was that?
I'm not sure I would believe them. We always joke because our family is the reason research is never 100%. So,
yeah. All of that reminds me of a cartoon that I saw. It was a Charlie Brown and Snoopy, and they're sitting together, and Charlie Brown says to Snoopy, Snoopy, one day we're going to die. And Snoopy says, yeah, but every other day we're not.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. That's it.
So choose which day. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just choose where you're going to put your thoughts. I mean, it's like none of us know. And, and all of that, I think that, cancer is a biggie, but I think that all of these feelings can go along with so many other areas of life too. It's like, it's all the same.
Yeah.
It's like you get to decide whether you come from lack or whether you come from love.
Yeah.
Right.
I was just thinking, a person who's diagnosed with diabetes, a person who's diagnosed with, heart disease, all of us eventually are going to encounter, this exercise in living,
Right.
which is now I know what could take me down, may not be the thing that does take me down.
Right.
But I'm learning how to live with the potential of that, which is really a skill set in learning how to live with your tendency toward lack thinking or your tendency toward life thinking.
Exactly.
Yes.
And also thinking about your body sending you messages. Like these are messages from your body. Your body's just telling you something's out of balance.
Yeah.
So what can you do to get it back into balance?
Exactly. So that's been my challenge, along with the other challenge of kind of redefining my identity. Because, and that could be like a whole hour in itself, but, because you go from one person to another person, when you have a big diagnosis.
Yes.
Right. There's the new normal. I always call it the new normal. It's like you've got to figure out what is that new normal? What's the new normal pace that you have to do things? Maybe you have to take a little nap. I remember when the kids were little, I used to I was doing it alone by then. And I used to have to get them off to school, do maybe one little morning errand. Then I take a nap and then I get them off the bus and start the afternoon things. But I needed that nap. Now, I was never a napper. I never napped. So it was just that new normal and allowing myself to do that, being okay with it.
Yeah. I think most of us do. We grow into our new normal little bit at a time. Things just shift kind of slowly and we're comfortable with that. But when a new normal hits you suddenly, that's when we all just get very wobbly. And the new, and it can be a diagnosis, but it can also be just being fired from your job.
Exactly.
And suddenly losing the identity that you're a productive, important, piece of a, machinery that someone says, no, actually you're not. Bye.
Right.
And then you have to adjust very quickly to that. So in a way, we're kind of facing that same thing all the time. It's just that, cancer has its own little particular feelings around it, which is you lose your hair too sometimes, or, you put on weight, or, there's other things that happen to you that, increase that.
My medicine, I still take an oral chemo every day, and the medicine has one of the side effects is weight gain. And I was complaining to my doctor at Dana-Farber one day, and he looked at me and he just shook his head. He goes, look it, do you want to be alive and fat or dead and skinny?
Your choice.
And I went, well, can I have a third choice? I want a third option. I love my doctor. He's awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. Cancer is really, it's one of those big life changers, but there's lots of little life changers that we go through, and we can apply the same things to that. And that's where I love flow dreaming as a tool for that. Yeah. Because it's powerful. It puts the power right back with you.
Hey, Genie, I wanted to mention, I just remembered, I actually finally created a set of 3 flow dreams for cancer survivors or people encountering cancer. And it's called Cancer Free Forever, and it's at flowdreaming.com, or it's on the app if you just type in flow dreaming.
Yeah, I love the app, by the way.
What, you like it? Wonderful.
Yes, I love it.
Thank you. It's going through a major overhaul right now to get all the bugs out that have crept in the last year.
Yeah, it was a little bit persnickety sometimes, yes.
But Cancer Free Forever is a really different set of flow dreams because I made them for me. And when you listen to them, I'm slow. I talk slowly. There's a different quality that I've noticed in them than any of the others, which are often more buoyant and moving. And, for me, it's me talking very deeply to myself. Yeah. But I have healing your body from cancer, healing your heart from cancer, and healing your trust from cancer.
Love it.
Because I realized that for me, those were the 3 areas I had to focus on. There was the body part, which is just, I love you, body. I'm talking to you, body. I'm listening to you, body.
Yes.
But the heart and trust are a little different. The heart is, you will live. You're going to, I love you. You have a life in front of you. And then the trust is, I wasn't betrayed by my body. I wasn't betrayed by my life. This is all part of my whole experience, and I accept that and embrace that. So I just want to throw that out there for anybody who might.
I'm so glad you did, because I'm going to buy. I'm going to flowdreaming.com right away. I'm going to grab those.
And remember,
I have to
these
say,
do
people,
not cure you of cancer. I don't know how I'm going to get away with putting these out there. But
there's no guarantee.
They're for your emotional self. I mean, that's what it sounds, and your body. But you need support from every area you can get it from.
And look no matter how long any of us have to live, if we can get into a state of flow and we can trust life and we can relax and love ourselves, whatever amount of time we have left on the planet is going to be a whole lot better than if we were spending it in lack and fear and, all of those emotions. So, today is a day that you get to choose. How do I want to feel? And then bring that feeling into your life. All right.
I agree 100%. Is that a wrap?
Absolutely. No, but you know what? It did sound like a wrap, though, didn't it? It's getting close. It is getting close to a wrap. But if you could share one big pearl of wisdom for our listeners about thriving after cancer, what would it be?
Well, like I said, for me, it's almost been about the post-cancer experience. Because when you're going through treatment, you're often very revved up. You have a lot of emotion, a lot of energy. You're going to do it. You're going to fight it. But then after whatever modalities you've chosen to fix yourself are run through, you're kind of cast out there and you realize, well, all I get is a doctor appointment every, few months, but their appointments don't really tell me much.
Right.
And so then the responsibility kind of falls back onto you. Right. And for me, that's the biggest part. How do I live with knowing my body has had this? It may have a tendency to come back, but I'm not going to support the coming back.
Right.
What's the longer term way that I stay with my new identity, right? My new normal, and that I continuously acknowledge the fear, the PTSD that comes from it, but then let it go and let it go and let it go.
Exactly. It's that constant refocusing of your attention.
And letting that happen in my life as often as I need until I think probably one day I'm going to wake up and realize I haven't thought about cancer in months. Months.
I think I'm there. I rarely think about it anymore until I'm every 6 months now at the doctor. So it's like, every 6 months I go, oh, I got to go to Dana-Farber. And then I think about it. But it's, but he's just going to tell me what a miracle I am. So it's all good.
Yeah.
But, it's wonderful. So Summer, tell us how to get in touch with you.
Oh gosh, I'd love to have anybody who wants to, follow up on this, come to flowdreaming.com. Look for the Cancer Free Forever series of MP3s. Listen to them and I'll teach you how to flow dream. And also I have a podcast too. It's called Flow Dreaming. And I invite you to come on over there. I talk a lot about mindset, inner strength, emotions, co-creating with the universe. Good stuff.
Yeah. Excellent. Wow.
Jeannie, thank you. Beautiful conversation.
Oh, Summer, it's wonderful. It's always wonderful to talk with you. And I'm so happy that you could take time to come and, spend some time with us, talking with us, sharing your experiences with us. Yeah. It's always a joy.
Debbie, it was good to hear your story too.
Thank you.
We let you in for a little while to chit chat. Yeah, too, with just you.
I just enjoy listening to the two of you.
Oh, Debbie. Sometimes Debbie gets a couple of words in here.
She's there for moral support. She just holds our emotional hands while we talk.
Hugging both of you.
She is very good at that too. That's one of her strengths for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
for sure. All right. Well, we have 1 minute to go. So everyone, please go to flowdreaming.com. Check out all the MP3s there. I think I own just about every single one, but I am totally going to look at this Cancer Free Forever and talk with Summer. call our, do you do your podcast live, Summer?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I pre-record it. Just depends on my production schedule with all the other things that I'm doing.
Look for live ones because it's fun. It's fun. And you can email Summer, ask her questions. She's wonderful. Yep. Absolutely love her. Mm-hmm. Yes. So again, thank you so much to Summer McStravick, our wonderful guest. And thank you all for listening. I want you all to remember to love yourself, love your life, and enjoy the journey. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Jeannie. Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks, Summer.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for listening today. I'd love to connect with you further, so I invite you to head over to Facebook and join my group, Love Your Life, Reconnect to You. You can chat with other listeners and followers and ask me any questions that might pop up between shows. I'd also love it if you like and follow my Facebook page at facebook.com/Genie Lee Perron. If you want one-to-one coaching, head to my website, www.genieleeperron.com, to schedule a free discovery session. So until next week, remember to enjoy the journey.
This show is brought to you by InflowRadio.com, the best curated talk radio network for personal development, wellness, spirituality, and conscious business.